your face. Son of a bitch.
Don't do it! Perfect. That was a reverse bicep curl mixed with a deadlift. It's a shuffled into an overhead press.
You could actually, we could actually get you to lift weights. You look more like an Olympic lifter than a power lifter, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm leaving. You're trying to say you look like shit.
He took a silver medal at the Nationals this year, so he snatched.
Shit, man.
He's basically, we're talking pounds, he's right around 200 pounds, just underneath 200 pounds. His best snatch is 345. His best front squat is like maybe 410, 420, 420. So his efficiency is really good,
Right.
but his general strength properties suck.
Right, yeah.
So my challenge is, this is a skill, right? Snatch, clean, jerk. This is a skill. We need to make sure that we're working on it, but at the same time, it would be a lot easier if they were stronger. How do we make my weightlifters into stronger animals?
Deadlift every day. Done. I think some of the differences, with powerlifting is just to be able to strain against something, and I think that'll help your athletes out a lot. A lot of times people say in Olympic lifting that when you strain or you struggle that you're done, but we've seen it over and over again. It's not true.
Yeah.
People's knees come in, all kinds of crazy shit happens to people, and they still fire out of the hole and still press the weight up over their head. So
yeah,
I think just the fact that just being able to get them to strain and struggle against some weight with different forms of deadlifting and even different types of squats, Anderson squats, like where you start start down low. You can do something off your blocks,
right,
and they just squat the way up from the bottom. Stuff like that, rack pulls, deficit deadlifts, regular deadlifts without a belt, deadlifts with a belt, all that kind of stuff. Just sort of rugged, brutal. If you have any chains or bands, throw that on there because it's going to make them lift a little slower, which is not always the desired effect of Olympic lifting, but it can kind of build that strength that you're talking about.
Deadlift. A few key things to remember about the deadlift, or two main things to remember about your deadlift, is you want to try to keep your back flat, and you want to try to have your hips lower than your shoulders. We're going to go over both a sumo and a conventional deadlift, and those two rules apply on both of those. I know a lot of times people say, oh, I saw this guy deadlift this weight with a rounded back. Those guys are like professionals. A lot of times those are guys that are deadlifting 800-900 pounds. They've been deadlifting for over a decade. They know what they're doing, so they'll have a slightly different style than everybody else. I'm gonna have Mike do some demonstrations of a conventional deadlift. Tie him up tight, Mike. Triple knots. One thing that's great about a deadlift versus a clean and jerk, a snatch, squat, or a bench press, all those exercises are very scary in terms of, like, in the squat you got the weight on your back. The other lifts, the weight can fall on you and different kinds of things can happen. In a deadlift, you don't have to worry about any of that shit. So you can really just walk up to the bar, you can get yourself pissed off, or get yourself focused, whatever works for you. Get yourself fired up, and you can just lift it with as much aggression as needed. So the first thing we got to do is find out how much space we need between ourselves and the barbell. For most of you guys, especially a lot of you guys are in Olympic shoes, you're going to be able to get pretty close to the bar. You're probably going to be able to squat down pretty well, but if you're not flexible, you might need to back off the bar a little bit, give yourself a little bit of space. But in general, most people like to have the barbell where it looks like it's just kind of cutting your foot almost in half. You've got a few inches between him and the barbell. If you get too close, you'll kick the barbell away from you, and the bottom will lift, and you're losing a lot of energy on the way up as you go to pull the weight. So what I like to do from here, rather than try to complicate things, all he's going to do is just bend down. Back is loose. He's not trying to stay arched. He's not trying to get down to some sort of funky squat position or anything. What we like to do is we like to find the position that feels like shit, which would be right here. This would not be a good position to deadlift from. You can see the back is rounded, and he's not quite in position yet to deadlift. So what we're going to do from here, he's going to tighten up his back, get his back straight, pull his hips down a little bit until he feels comfortable to go, and he's going to go from there. Another thing he's doing is he's bracing his stomach. The best way to explain that is just to brace your stomach as if someone's going to come up and punch you in the gut. You're trying to push your stomach kind of outward and downward. For those of you that don't wear belts, when you're trying to do that movement, when you're trying to push your stomach out, you're trying to actually kind of create a belt for yourself. For those of you that use belts, you can actually use the belt as a prop and you can actually feel yourself pushing into the belt. If you're uncomfortable with a belt and you want to start working into one, I would suggest doing some weighted movements with a belt on. You can do some planks weighted with a belt on, and you can push your abs and your stomach against the belt. It's going to teach you how to use the belt. You'll get more out of it, be more effective next time you go to use it. The other thing he's doing here is he's trying to pull his chest up as he's coming out of the bottom here, and he's firing his hips, but he's not trying to look up excessively, and he's also trying not to necessarily look down. He's just pulling his chin back. We call it the sexy double chin move. I want to pull that chin in and try to get as many chins going as possible at the top of the deadlift. So if you get purple and you have like 3 chins, when you're finished with the deadlift, you get it exactly 100% right.
That's ideal.
That's ideal.
Purple face, 3 chins.
Purple face, 3 chins. Yeah. Write that down. In general, your feet are going to just usually be inside the knurl of the bar. Inside the knurl of the bar. Your hands can go outside and beyond the knurl of the bar. So here he is, back's relaxed. Now he's got it tight. Now he's got it straight. And there. One thing that's important to keep in mind, this goes for any lift. All of us have weaknesses. All of us have things that we're not good at. It's very easy to talk yourself out of the lift. Please make sure you're not doing that. If you're not good at deadlifts and you know that he programs the deadlifting for you, and it's coming up in the next workout, don't walk in the gym and be like, oh man, my deadlift sucks. Your deadlift will always suck if that's your attitude, or whatever movement it is that you're not good at. It's really, really important that you guys wipe out any negative thoughts. And if somebody else has negative thoughts for you, make sure you're not lifting with people that are too negative. Try to get around people that are more positive. Or be so focused for the day, someone says, yeah, Bell, your deadlift sucks. Say, fuck you. Be so focused and ready and prepared for the day that you are not going to allow yourself to fail. You're not going to allow yourself to miss any lifts. Mike's going to demonstrate a sumo deadlift. With a sumo deadlift, we like to point our toes outward a little bit so that we're making a little bit more room for the barbell. One thing I like about the sumo deadlift is that it's one of the few powerlifting movements that has a little bit of flexibility and mobility involved in it. I highly suggest it for you guys just because of the amount of strength that it's required from the hips in this particular movement. It'd be great for any of you guys to try as an assistance movement. You don't have to kill yourself on these. You don't have to do these with 600-700 pounds. You just get a little bit of weight on there and do sets of 3, sets of 5 with it. So similar setup. He's just going to bend from the waist, backs round a little bit. Now he's going to get his back flat. He's going to pull his shoulders up. He's going to fall backwards and go through the wall. Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike!
70 kilos. That's what I do on my cleans.
A couple days ago, we were at a seminar in Dallas and spent empty barbell right to his head, and blood just erupts from his. We're the experts, people. Pay attention.
Yeah. That's
this is what
right?
Spencer likes to do to get fired up.
I like it. So that's pretty much a sumo deadlift. Again, they're both fairly simple. The weight's on the ground, you pick it up. That's the end of the movement. It's not all that technical, but with a sumo deadlift, you do have to try to remember to try to force your knees outward. You're trying to keep your stomach tight. Remember, again, your hips are lower than your shoulders. On any deadlift, whether it's conventional or sumo, you're always trying to get your shoulders as high as you can. However, it gets a little tricky because you don't want to have your hips too low. So if you can just demo, thanks for showing up, buddy.
Conventional. That's Shaheen. He's the baby.
I like those shoes. So sometimes people will squat down a little bit too low and the lift becomes a 2-part lift. Sometimes people won't get their hips down low enough, they'll have their hips too high and it'll become a 2-part lift. You want it to be all one fluid motion. If your butt starts to move before the weights are coming up, there's some sort of technical error. It could be that you're not staying tight enough from the bottom. It could also just be that you're not accelerating and putting enough force into the barbell. So you want to try to keep yourself really tight, keep yourself coiled up, and when it's time to lift the bar, you want your body and the bar to move at the same time. Does anybody have any questions on either styles of deadlifting?
What motor units are we recruiting more with the Sumo versus the conventional stance?
The Sumo deadlift is getting into your glutes and your hips a little bit more, even the adductors a little bit. So the conventional deadlift is a lot more lower back. So a Sumo deadlift is great when you guys come in and your backs are fried from some of the other movements that you've been doing. You don't have to skip deadlifting altogether. You can just simply do a Sumo deadlift. Legs are a lot more involved, quads are more involved a little bit.
Can we talk a little bit about a straight leg deadlift and when and how you program that?
So the way that we usually program our deadlifts at Super Training is often to flip-flop deadlifts about every other week. We try to only pull up to our full maximum, maybe about once a month. That's just a 1 rep max that's like all out, or sometimes not even that often for guys that are even stronger. But the way that we rotate stuff in and out, we'll bring in a stiff leg deadlift 1 week, a regular deadlift the next. Could be a Sumo deadlift the next week, and again going back to stiff leg deadlifts again. The stiff leg deadlift is a huge part of powerlifting, as it is with Olympic lifting, because it's such a simple movement. It trains the hell out of your lower back to make your lower back stronger. It's going to make your butt stronger. It's going to make your hamstrings stronger, and it's going to allow you, when you go to actually use your legs, like do a stiff leg deadlift. We actually do this exercise too. Hold on a second. We actually do this exercise too, where we switch back and forth during the exercise between a stiff leg deadlift and a regular deadlift. This helps teach people awareness of where your hips need to be during the lift. You can do the same thing with a squat and a good morning. People don't really understand that your hips aren't moving as much as you think. And a lot of times on a squat, people have no idea where their depth is. They're a little uncoordinated, not sure how to get proper depth. Have them do a good morning, and in between then sink their hips, and they'll realize that they're not moving their hips efficiently when they're doing their squat. So again, we like to do kind of a mix. We'll do a stiff leg deadlift followed by a regular deadlift. Do something like this for about 8 reps, about 4 reps of each. You'll be pretty fast after you do it. One of the advantages of this technique is just that you're not going to fly out your back quite as much as if you just did regular stiff leg deadlift. But the stiff leg deadlifts, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of times those are mixed in about every other week with our regular pulls. The other thing we like about a stiff leg deadlift, or even any of the other assistance movements, is that we can bring them in and do them for 3 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 8, whereas a regular deadlift, a lot of times, it's 1 set of 3 or 1 set of 5 or 1 set of 1. We use a lot of different variations of a deadlift. I can kind of show you guys a little bit later, but we use a deficit deadlift, and we use block pulls. You guys are very familiar with those. You do those with your cleans and stuff like that. Does anybody have any more questions on the deadlift, or does anybody know how to get, no matter what, does anybody know how to get a PR every single time you come into the gym? Hold on. The answer is not steroids. Okay, go. Does anybody know? Anybody know how to get a PR every single time you step foot inside the gym?
Don't try that hard. Don't try that hard.
Uh-oh.
Enter knows. There's your 2-time national champion.
Yeah, there you go.
What's he said?
Do a different exercise every time.
Do something you've never tried before. So if he's yelling at you and he's like, man, you suck today, you can say, fuck you, I just did a 7 rep max of a clean and jerk. I got a PR. And compared to your other PR, there's not one, right? But the reason I bring that up is important to salvage the day. It's important to try to make a bad day into a good one. You know, I kind of harp on these things about being positive, and people kind of shrug them off sometimes, but it's so important because you guys aren't just doing this just for fun. It is fun, but you guys are highly competitive athletes. You guys are some of the best in the world. And these lifts matter to you so much. I know from experience that when you miss a lift, next thing you know, you're in your car, you're crying. On your way home, you get some Ben & Jerry's, and you're eating Ben & Jerry's, sitting on the couch, crying your eyes out, watching Biggest Loser. Nobody else had that happen? But in general, it's important to lose. It's important to eat shit once in a while, so that you know what the taste of victory is, and you can understand what it means and what it is to work hard. A lot of times, you know, like I mentioned earlier, these lifts, they mean a lot to you, and in order to continue to move forward, the only 2 things that can continue to move forward are you being positive and you trying to avoid injury. So make sure you get around like-minded people, this is a great environment for that kind of thing. I know some of you guys have probably been lifting here for a long time, And you might have said, fuck that place, man, I'm gonna go train at 24. And how did that work out for you, right? And you know, you can't even do half these lifts there. You can't even drop the weights. They don't even have setups like this for that, but a lot of times. Come on up here, buddy. What happened? What happened? Explain to the group. Apologize to everybody first of all.
What happened? I didn't leave. I got kicked out.
So has anybody ever done a 3-rep max sumo deadlift before in here? All right, so everyone's gonna get a motherfucking PR today. You can thank me later. And we're also gonna do a conventional deadlift. So you can do 3 reps of both, do one after the other, then let the next person go. 3-rep max of a conventional deadlift. No one has to destroy themselves today. I really just want to see your form and your technique and your style. So if you get even the 90% or 85% range, that's enough information for me to see what the hell's going on.
What's a good 3-rep max number for an average sized person? A 200-pound person. What's a good 3-rep?
Don't say anything else.
What would make you impressed?
About a 500-pound deadlift for 3 would be good.
500 pounds for 3?
Hold on.
Come on, man. Bring your legs out. Bring your hips way up.
Hey, bro, pull from my knees.
Can you bring them up higher? Okay, and now just bring them back down quick and then go.
Yeah, there you go. Good.